Hello again. The Critical Sorcerer, the Millennial Dragon. Brian Jennings here. This channel is dedicated to processing my relationship with Quentin Tarantino. I wrote him a series of letters which set into motion a series of events that led to where we are now. He canceled his film, The Movie Critic, last year because of me, and now we're embroiled in a disgusting, sick, psychic siege. Everyone around him, right? They all insulate his evil, right? He lies to them. They believe him. He'll always deny, right? But here's my point, right? If I'm just mentally ill, right? What does he lose in releasing the footage from Jackie Brown, the conversation with Robert De Niro last year? Right? Just answer me that. If the truth is that I'm not well, that nothing that I'm saying is true, right, then he loses nothing and, right, has compassion, right, and respects his fans, right? But the reality is that he's a sick degenerate. He's not a cool guy, right? Right? He's a depraved psychological mess, right? Interested in power. Right? He's not interested in writing. Right? He's not a fucking writer. Right? He's a degenerate. That's what he is. Right? Right? Brad Pitt played the role of Cliff Booth because Brad Pitt is Cliff Booth. They're the same story. Writers write what they know. They change the name, they change the locale, and that's exactly what happened. Right? Brad Pitt beat up Angelina Jolie on an airplane in 2016 and got away with it. Quentin pulled that story out of the air, put it in the water, right? And then cast Brad Pitt to play himself because Cliff Booth murdered his wife on a boat and got away with it, right? They're not similar stories, right? They're the same stories, right? And so in that way, right? The name of the novel, right? I've written a novel. We're reading through the novel. It's called Building a Coven, right? As in a coven of witches, right? Because the things that people refer to as psychic, remote viewing, telekinesis, telepathy, psychokinesis, thaumaturgy are the same things that people refer to as magic and sorcery, right? They're not similar things. They're the same things, right? The words are different. The tactics are the same, right? So, the novel spans from May of 2021 through February of 2025. I am currently at mondegreen, right, which is fish, which is clam, right? They are involved, right? I wrote them a series of letters about helping Quentin and myself reconcile. Now I see there is no reconciliation, nor do I want to play that role, right? No. He's a degenerate, right? He doesn't deserve any of the success that he's gotten, right? He thinks that satanic occultism is cool, right? That fine fucking witch he calls a wife thinks satanic occultism is cool, right? That they have a sick Pulp Fiction sex dungeon, right? With pictures of Baphomet, right? I know the game, right? So I'll say, having read the introduction of this, right, by Arthur Edmund Waite, I see why his tarot deck is the most popular. Very sage, wise scholar who espouses that Levi was, he was like caught in the middle of something, essentially, that he was never interested in scholasticism in the traditional sense, right? That he had an intellectual predilection as a child, and so the forces around him pushed him down the track of, right, clergy, seminary, right? And of course, the things that we do in childhood come to define our whole lives, right? So, right, we're reading through the novel. I live in perpetual fear. I'm sorry about the dead air, but I'm constantly in this state of anxiety, right? Every night is so difficult when I let my dogs in because they'll bark and it just sends me skyrocketing into my fear. And so what do I mean when I say that? I'm about to start reading on the novel, but what I mean is that Quentin has engendered a psychology into both of our minds, right, that behooves us to reconcile, to come together. And if we don't, right, then we're both mentally ill, right? And so this is my point when I say, oh, if I die, Quentin has no more problems. And this is my point when I say that he's a sick degenerate, right? That he like it's so fucking pathological and evil to me. I can't, right? It's just like beyond the beyond, right? He said, oh no, I'm gonna, right? Like, oh no, this guy hurt me, right? This is, right, mysterious, like occult bullshit, like I'm gonna use my mind. I'm gonna crawl all the way into this guy's mind to overwhelm him and make him blow his brains out. Right? That's like, right? And so why do I say that? Because the pendulum swings both ways, right? Because he crawled into my mind, and in reflex to that, I crawled all the way into his mind. And I could talk about his psychological complexes just as much as he's reduced me to mine to all of the Hollywood elite. Right? And perhaps I will a little later in this video. Right? But my point is that now, right, now he knows, right, that he won't succeed in compelling me to blow my brains out, right? And so I live in perpetual fear that he's going to send people here to murder my entire family so that he no longer has any problems, right? Because he's a fucking base degenerate. And if he doesn't do that, right, I live in perpetual anxiety that he's going to use palpable black magic evil to try to destroy my body with his mind, right? Which anyone can do. This is not, right? I betrayed no master, right? And so I've written the Pope, right? I've written everyone around him, right? And essentially they're all just as evil as he is, right? If not more so, right? Tacit acceptance of evil. Who's more evil? Hitler or all the business owners who just said, oh, okay, hey, I'm not into politics, right? So, I'll pick up where I left off. Upon arrival, I introduced myself to everyone around me. Though not having a vehicle required a conversation with the volunteers arranging everyone. Hang on. I went into the festival proper the following morning around 3 o'clock. I went in earlier around 10 or 11 to see everything. There were several thousand people in line. Took a stroll, saw the gates open at 5, went back and chilled a few hours, played guitar, drank beer. I had some LSD from Deer Creek. By weekend's end, I would fail a drug test by breathing on it. I filled up my Nalgene, replete with many stickers gifted along the way, with water, and went straight to the gate and waited. I did get confused and end up in the early access line, which I never did, but quickly was directed to the gate where only a few people were sitting. I'll say the weather, as far as festivals go, was idyllic. Hot in the sun, cooler instantly with the thinnest veil of clouds. The time passed with forgettable conversations, and as they attempted to coax us calmly over the rope, they replaced the gate, and we all mad dashed as close as we could. A haze of tapestries claiming territory landed quickly all around me. Early access occupied the 6 or 7 rows in front of me, but I landed center left, Gage and Clay side. I didn't overthink it. It was a perfect spot I returned to every night, every set. After sitting for a time, 40 minutes maybe, I left my water bottle and went to use the bathroom before the show. It takes a lot to get there and back, especially when there's 30,000 people between you and there. It wasn't as bad then, but it took some 15 minutes. When I got back, it was a lot cozier, with people sitting all around my water bottle. I said nothing. Waited only a few minutes as the person right next to my bottle departed, and a really nice, tall, hot goth chick, black, light-skinned, with an ornate bow ring commanding the eye, that I spoke to upon arrival asked me to have a seat as a gesture of camaraderie and welcome. When I sat down, another girl right next to me was introduced as Anna. She is very beautiful. I am hesitant to engage. Long, darker hair, hippie goddess, blue eyes. But my baser instinct got the better of me. She tells me she is from Seattle, and that friends of hers will be arriving shortly. She seems shy. When I asked her what she was into, she almost blushed and gave the vagary, "Oh, doing art," and talked about Seattle's scene, how she spends her time with talented people. My heart broke immediately. Her boyfriend and their mutual friend arrive soon. They bought a specific pass that lets them come in right by the stage. The boyfriend is older, good 15 years older than me. Nice, congenial guy. The mutual friend is late 40s. They are polar opposites in how they appear. The boyfriend being a wiry-framed hippie, and the friend a buff bodybuilding Silicon Valley millionaire. Maybe the boyfriend is a millionaire too. They met, so they say, here at Clam. The Great Communion. We all get along fine. The forced proximity of wanting to be close engenders instant familiarity. A sincere yearn for camaraderie. Simpatico. We all have to look out for each other, to keep people who would encroach at arm's length. Our suffering in the heat is compensated in dancing room, which hungry vultures seek to cannibalize. The first set came and went. When the band came on, I was flooded with emotion about Alistair, the journalist. And when Clay looked out into my eyes, he felt it. We both looked away. The band seems relaxed, patient. As the set break saw me carousing with more people, the drugs began to take hold. I asked Anna's friend Melissa, skinny, sexy fairy type, brown hair, who commandeered a healthy hug upon meeting me before the show, if she was from Seattle as well. And she informed me she was from Massachusetts, Northampton, and espoused its virtues to me. I smiled and nodded, and told her I looked forward to checking it out sometime. I don't know if she saw something in my demeanor. I don't know if something about my demeanor upset her, but she dashed away thereafter, and I did not see her again. So my battery is down to 5%. So I suppose I'll stop there. I really enjoy those pages a lot, even though I have to go in it, right? So this is it's a backwards reflection, right? So I went to the shows and then I wrote a bunch. And so this is the work of writing, right? That you have to go back, right, and put yourself in the scene, right? So the girl's name is actually Hannah, not Anna. So lovely, so beautiful, right? And she, right? Quentin played his games with me and debased her memory, right? A memory is its own disease, if you remember the first pages on magic, right? That the adept, right, can conjure memories within the mind of the target, right? Right? And so this is where it becomes dangerous and evil, right? Because he can always say, oh, gosh, like I don't know, right? And if I try to speak openly about it, right, everyone around me just says, oh, he's mad as a loon, right? So, right? Life is not an accident. Right? All instances of clairvoyance and psychic phenomenon, up to and including remote viewing, is the mind of the adept tapping into the non-locality of consciousness. Right? So, Quentin is a powerful psychic clairvoyant who remote views people and jumps into the mind of his actors, right? He sees movies as the ultimate expression of occult intention, right? I betray no master, right? And so now, right, it's descended into this disgusting, sick, psychic siege, right? And I live in perpetual fear that he'll finally hit his breaking point psychologically and send people to murder me. There's nothing else there, right? There's no formula where this persists for 20 years and it's healthy for anyone involved. So, right? Pray for me, pray for Quentin, uplift your soul to God, see what's good in your life. Know that life is not an accident. Like, comment, subscribe, share. God bless.